Hey everybody, Frank Wiles here. I realized that I bought all this fancy camera equipment a while back and I haven't really been taking advantage of it. So I wanted to play around a little bit with OBS and recording this. And so I just wrote a blog post highlighting one of our favorite tools, Just. It's a command runner. You can use it to replace Makefiles or a little hodgepodge of scripts for those day-to-day developer commands. I've got the blog post here, which I'll link to in the comments. But I just wanted to show you kind of some real-world examples of how I use this on a daily basis. So you can see here, this is actually the repo that is my blog, and we have this just file here. I'm just going to go ahead and open that up and show you some of the commands. I can get a shell into my Astro container. I can rebuild my Astro container if my dependencies have changed. And I've got some helper commands here that just are nice and ergonomic. This it opens me right in the browser to my GitHub repo, or takes me to the list of issues, or automatically sets me up to create a new issue, which I'm using to track which blog posts I want to write in the future. And then this is how I need to build it, to actually build the static site to then deploy it. That's just a long-ass command to type. It's not particularly hard, but I'm going to forget that, and so I probably would have wrapped that in a Makefile or some sort of script, and this just lets me do it all here very easily. One thing I want to point out is this default here at the top. Just if you don't define a default, uses the first command, which could either be destructive or surprising. And so in general, we tend to set our default to be just list, which shows us the help. I'll show you that right now. If I simply run just, I get just the help. And then I'll show you, like, let's say I'll rebuild the containers. And this runs that rebuild command. Pretty quick, pretty easy. If I want to build the site, I can run build, and it runs that long command, and the site is rebuilt. I'm going to flip over and show you actually a client's project. This is an EdTech product. There's a lot more commands, as you can see, various things we need to be able to do, like updating Helm charts and various things. But what I want to highlight here is the ability to take arguments and do a slightly more complicated thing. So what this is doing is reaching out to a particular Kubernetes cluster, execing into a particular pod, running pgdump, then copying that locally. So I use this to grab like a copy of the dev database that the client may have adjusted some things, and I need to recreate that scenario locally to debug some problem, and this is just the quickest, easiest way to do that. Because I need a particular pod from that cluster, I have written this utility, any pod, I'll link it up, that gets me any pod that matches that deployment's name, because these change all the time. So if I do snapshot, and note, I hit tab right there. And here, let me do that again, just so you see, snap, tab completion. Just gives that to you automatically for your recipes. So I say dev for the namespace, the pod. I'm gonna call this dump dev April 27, 2025. And you'll see it jumps in here and runs this pretty long, complicated command to go grab a dump of the dev database, and now it's having to run an equally long command to copy it here locally, and then all I have to do to restore it is to say restore snapshot dev April 27, 2025, and that would restore. I won't take the time to do that. I hope you take a look at Just and use it to build a better, cohesive, easier development experience for you and your fellow developers. Thanks.